I hope so, but, and this is a big but, I'm the guy that defends him every single week. I'm the only guy that did 2 weeks ago, and I am now waning. And the reason for that is, and it's critical this for me, he's just constantly putting players in there when they fit that should not start in the 11. And how he's missing it is beyond me. I just cannot see. And unless he takes them 3 or 4 out of the team, we're never going to compete with the big boys. I mean, I've been saying for 12 months, in fact, let me go back a week. 2 weeks ago, I rung up, defended him, nobody else did. Last week, you didn't have a phone in about him last Monday, and I love your Monday show as well, by the way. It's my favourite of the week as well. Simon said, if they play like they did against Spurs, they'll get battered against City. And I wanted to ring and say exactly the same. I thought we were awful against Spurs. If Spurs had scored first, we would have got beat. We created nothing. For all we won 3-0, we created nothing. And I thought, we're against City, we're going to get hammered. I'll tell you what we've got there, Jim, and the rest of the lads for my money. Fred puts a massive shift in every week. If they all worked as hard as him, the outfield players, we'd do better than we're doing.
Yeah.
But his problems are these, and I'd like to ask Danny a question at the end, because it baffles me. This is what Danny said earlier. Fred's first touch is awful, and his passing is awful, yet he tries. I mean, he's a Brazilian who can't trap the ball and who can't pass the ball. Wan-Bissaka, this has nothing to do with what Keane said on Saturday.
No.
I've been saying for 12 months, how Wan-Bissaka starts for Man United is beyond me. People call his attacking threat and lack of attack. He does nothing. If there's any United fan out there that disagrees with me, and many will, all I would say is watch his next 3 games for the full 90 minutes and just focus on Wan-Bissaka, everything he does and doesn't do. He's absolutely awful. I've been saying for 12 months now, the first signing United should have made to join Fletcher and Carrick would have been Patrice Evra. Get him working with those fullbacks. Because at fullback, we're really poor.
Danny, what's your take on what Dave's saying?
Well, I mean, there's lots of problems, isn't there? We could be here all day. The Wan-Bissaka, he's a right back and he's a good defender, but going forward, he's lacking. If you're going to play 3 at the back and you're going to play Wan-Bissaka, you play him as the right side centre half, not the wing back. You want a wing back who can cross the ball, make assists, and be comfortable in the final third. He's not. Shaw is, but he's lost his confidence a little bit. Shaw. I think a centre half, they're lacking confidence. Without Varane there, they don't have a leader. Although Maguire is a captain, he's not leading by example. And I think you make a great point on Fred. If everyone had his work ethic and mentality, they might be in a better position. One thing I'd like to say to you, and I've said this for a long, long time, I don't think they've ever replaced Michael Carrick. Somebody in the middle of the pitch who can control the game. They haven't got one.
Hello?
Hi, Dave. Yeah, you heard from Danny there. So, I mean, now you've turned, it's fair to say. I mean, you were with Ollie for so long, Dave. Do you think it's almost inevitable that there has to be a change? Is he still there? He's not still there. No. We'll move on because I think Chris thinks there has to be a change. Chris, good morning.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning, Chris. Where do you stand on this?
100% has to be a change. I mean, if not the club's board do it, I think Ollie has to do the right and honourable thing and just walk away. Look, I've tried my best. I don't think anybody has doubted that he has tried his best. The job's too big for him. He's out of his depth. He can't have the same complaints that, Moyes had. He's been given time. He's been given money to spend. That squad is his. He persists. The last caller nailed it with Wan-Bissaka. And I disagree with Danny. He can't defend. Yes, you'll see him put in the odd slide tackle. Listen to Maldini. If you're sliding for a ball, you've already made a mistake. That will just paper over the cracks. Positionally, he doesn't have a clue. That's too many in behind him. Shaw's the same. Look at the goal Bernardo Silva scored. What was Shaw doing? Caller says it. Everett could come in there. Dennis Irwin could come in there. Ollie has chosen his coaching staff, and they're not up to scratch either. Does Kieran McKenna really inspire that team? He's working with world-class players who are working with Deschamps, World Cup winners at international level, and coming back to Old Trafford with Kieran McKenna.
Chris, is it enough that players go on social media like De Gea and say, I am hurt, and gets 250,000 likes for it? Is it enough that Harry Maguire goes on social media, says, as a group of players, we're going through a tough period, we accept that it's nowhere good enough, we feel your disappointment?
I think Harry Maguire is just very reflective about Ollie, just too weak, not strong enough. As a captain of Man United, you look what we've come from, Robson, Keane, Vidic, Neville, Harry Maguire's just not a leader there, but he's basically the Solskjaer on the pitch. Too weak, not calling people enough up, not taking enough responsibility. You don't see him leading and inspiring people.
Have you got one? Have you got one? Do you think you've got one who could do the job? If you were to take the armband off him, take the pressure off?
Well, to be honest, it's probably the easy option, but you look at Ronaldo, what he's achieved, what he inspires. He tries. Fernandes is similar in that sense. I just think you need a voice. You need someone who holds himself to high standards, someone who's literally going to inspire the players around him. Even, I think it was last season after the draw with City, you saw Maguire hugging Stones at the end of the game. When would you ever seen that from a captain of Man United? You look at Keane. I think there was an incident against Inter Milan in the Champions League where Simeone and Ronaldo were playing with their socks. Keane just walked past, didn't care, didn't suffer anybody's reputation.
Okay, Chris, many points in there to digest. Simon, you said a few weeks ago, I think I'm right, when you said Ronaldo could end up being the undoing of Solskjaer.
Yeah, not because Ronaldo isn't capable of scoring lots and lots of goals, but because when it comes to actually achieving something against the bigger sides, the idea that Ronaldo is going to do certain things. We're seeing how many goals is Ronaldo scoring against Man City or Liverpool, not getting in the game, because there's an accommodation to some extent for having him in the side. And that will work against Atalanta and it will work against Tottenham because they are middle of the road sides, decent sides. When you're talking about the elite, because we are foolhardy enough to want to continue to pitch Man United in the elite cycle. And it's a fool's errand because they may well be financially an elite circle football club, and they may well be a passionate football club with wonderful football fans that believe that their club is entitled to be wherever their club is entitled to be. But if you're going to put somebody in a dugout that doesn't deliver it, then you're going to be in a situation where signings like Ronaldo are not for trophies, they're for clicks. Ronaldo is not going to win you trophies. He's going to score lots of goals for United in lots of games, but when it comes down to it, are United going to win leagues, win cups with Ronaldo? I don't think so.
Let me say, I think makes something perfectly clear from my point of view is that irrelevant of Ronaldo or Cavani, whoever played down the middle, the way they tactically set it up in some games, it's whoever plays up front, whether Ronaldo there or not, they are not going to be competitive. They're saying about Ronaldo, yes, he has a knock-on effect to Sancho not playing or Greenwood not playing enough games down the middle of the involvement of those players. I get that.
Not that they deserve to, by the way.
But when you look at the tactics of how United set up in certain games, it's irrelevant who's playing centre forward. Even with Cavani's industry and his experience, it wouldn't matter because what's behind him and how it's set up.
But look at the goals, Danny. To put tactics to one side, I know you're going to talk about the nature of being aware of other people's jobs, but Graham Souness is driving a bus through some of the nonsense that Mika Richards was trotting out on Saturday afternoon about what Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who, by the way, is a very good defender, not because I'm a former Palace owner, he's been turned into a mediocre defender because he's playing in a mediocre side with so-called leaders like Harry Maguire who need to spend more time worrying about their own game, let alone anybody else's. And you look at Fernandes for the ball that comes in, and what is going on in these players' mind where they don't think they have the urgency to shut down a cross? It's beyond me.
And yet, in this international break, Ole carries on until we hear different.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.